talking about the idea of for loops. So please remember that we are back in Unit 5, which means we are momentarily putting a pause on our graphics unit and graphics in general. So when we are making our classes again for Java, we need our public class notes, we don't need anything extended, and we need one singular method inside, and that is our main method. And again, all of our code will exist inside of our main method, unless we create our own methods. But for right now, just one method, no more draw, no more settings, no more setup, nothing like that, just one main method. So for today, we're going to learn about the idea of a for loop. And a for loop is a way to do repetition. So like we talked about in class, if we want to say repeat something X times or 5 times or 8 times, whatever it is that we're trying to do, we do that using a for loop. So way back at the beginning of the year when we were learning about Roomba, we learned about wanting to repeat an idea a bunch of times. So the way that the syntax looks is we say for, and then there are 3 pieces of information. And IntelliJ is going to be mad at me for typing it out like this, but I'm going to show you the basic structure. So it's underlined in red here, but there are 3 elements that are separated by semicolons that go inside of the parentheses of my for statement. And then there are curly braces, just like when we have an if statement or others of that nature, our while loops, things like that, have curly braces around them to identify the loop. So in the same way, these curly braces identify where the for loop is, and there are 3 elements inside. So the first element is what we have been calling the initialization condition, or the loop counter, and that is to create a variable. So I'm going to create one, and I'm going to call it int, and because I'm feeling wacky today, I'm going to call it int k, that I'm going to start at 0. And then I have 2 more pieces that need to go inside of this loop. I need to decide what my condition is to stop my loop from continuing, and what is the action that I'm going to perform at the end of each loop so that this k value is changing. So for right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say that k needs to be less than 10, and I'm going to increment k by 1 each time by saying k plus plus, which remember is the same as saying k is equal to k plus 1. So let me just write it out that way then for insurance of clarity here. So k is equal to k plus 1. Now, I'm going to perform an action inside, and this action that I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to print out the value of k, because k is an integer that starts at 0, and I'm going to print out that value. Now this action is going to be repeated however many times this for loop tells us, and the way that we want to read through these is that we create our variable k up here at the top. We check to make sure the condition of whatever k is equal to right now satisfies or is true for this secondary thing inside of the for loop, that conditional check. So is 0 in fact less than 10? Well, yes it is. So we're going to perform the third thing, which is the loop body's action. So we're going to print out the value of k, which will start at 0. And then once we performed that action, we will go up and do that counter change, and we will increment k by 1. So we will add 1 to k. So it was 0, now k is 1. And now we continue on the process of repeating through the loop. So then we're going to repeat steps 2, 3, and 4 over and over again. So k is equal to 1. Double check that's still less than 10, so we're at an OK place, so we'll print out. And now we will set k equal to 2. 2 is still less than 10, so we'll print. Now k will become 3. 3 is less than 10, so we print, and so on and so forth. So the conjecture here is, pause the video if you need to for a second, read through this code. What do you think it will display when I hit this run button? Pause it if you need to, but here we go. Let's run this program. Come on, if it'll let me. There we go. So as you notice, we see numbers 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, but not the number 10. So when we're on that last iteration, k equals 9. 9 is less than 10, so we print out the value of 9. Then we add to our k value, it becomes 10. 10 is not in fact less than 10, so that condition is no longer true, and we would jump out of the loop at that point. And if there was any other code down here, we would then continue on, the computer would continue on with the code that's down below that for loop. And that's the way that it works. So now from here, pause this video, try on your own to type out this code, change it up, and this time what I want you to do is I want you to make some code that'll start at a value of 10, count backwards, and when it hits 1, then display the word blast off. So pause this video and try that out. Your code looks something like this. Remember, your condition could be slightly different, like we've talked about in class. Your condition could also say k is less than or equal to 1 here. But the idea, I'm going to leave mine as is, the idea is we want to start our k value at a bigger number, so we're going to start our k value at 10, and we're going to print out the number still, just like we have been doing. However, our condition will have changed, and our counter change is different this time. Instead of adding to my k value each time, I want to subtract. I want those numbers to decrease or decrement. And I also want to continue until k becomes smaller than 1 or a value of 0, and then I don't want to print anything else anymore. And then outside of my loop, I print out 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 using my for loop. And then I want to display blast off like my challenge said to do. So we're going to run this program, and we will see 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, blast off. And there you go.